on Purist Radio. And in fact, I think it's important that we do so. And just a couple of days ago, it was a new awareness day supporting male victims of domestic abuse day, November the 2nd. And I'm joined now by Mark of ManKind. Good morning to you, Mark. How are you doing?
Yeah, all well, thank you. Brilliant.
Good. And thanks so much for joining us here this morning. Why is it important to have a supporting male victims of domestic abuse day?
Well, we've been working in the domestic abuse field for over 20 years, supporting male victims. And what we've found, and working with other colleagues across the country, is that far too many men are not aware of the support that's available to them if they are a victim of domestic abuse. So they don't know who to turn to, where to go, or also how to go about starting those conversations. So we launched this day to actually help promote all of the services which are available for men in the areas where they live. And we had a look last night, and we had over 70 organisations come on board right across the UK.
That's fantastic, and it also highlights the potential misnomer that some people think that men aren't impacted by domestic abuse. What would you say to those?
Well, I think we live in a 360-degree world now. So, men and women are victims and also perpetrators of domestic abuse, including in same-sex relationships as well. And what we find from the government figures is that 1 in 6 men will be a victim of domestic abuse at some time in their life. And that means it's far more common than actually people think. We also know that many men find it difficult to actually talk about this and get the help that they need. And that's one of the barriers that they have, because we find that there's a lot of men who are victims, but very few are actually being supported.
And I imagine that because it's still kind of it is prevalent. I think in today's society, being I suppose a middle-aged man now, thinking about that, to be a man, you need to have that stiff upper lip. You need to carry on. We don't necessarily have to talk and share about these feelings, but that can be damning to mental and physical health, can't it? If we don't share.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few more of us are middle aged as well. So yeah, absolutely. There is the issue about men not coming forward, especially because they feel ashamed, a lack of pride, they feel embarrassed. Even more so if there's a height difference. You got a 6'2" guy, 5'6" female partner, for example. That can like really exacerbate this. How can this be happening to me? But also on the flip side, society, expects men to just grin and bear it too. And often we find that men who have been in abusive relationships, the signs were there, but their friends and family, work colleagues, other professionals like GPs, for example, are just not picking up on those signs. Their spidey sense isn't as attuned as it should be, simply because it's a man and they don't think men can or are victims of domestic abuse. So part of the reason for the campaign was also to try and open the eyes of the wider public to this, to for them to have a double take or have this light bulb moment where they think, well, actually, I haven't seen my son or brother for like over a year, and he was in a new relationship. Is everything okay? That's the sort of thing that we're prompting as well.
Yeah, and you make a very good point there. When people think of domestic violence, they think of the posters of bruises and they think of the handprints on arms. But domestic abuse takes many forms, and not all of them physical.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is the obvious one because you can see it. But the other type of abuse, and most people who are victims of domestic abuse are going through a real dangerous cocktail of all of these types of issues. So they're victim of economic abuse, so they've got no access to money or being denied the opportunity to go to work, for example. They're also being controlled, isolated from their friends and family, living in fear, being harmed. Also, they're being psychologically abused, always being told they're useless, rubbish. So they become a real shell of a person. They lose their independence and they lose their identity. It becomes if you like, subsumed into the identity of the person who's controlling them.
Yeah. And if there's someone listening now that they think, oh, actually, that this is resonating with me slightly, what would you recommend that they do? Where can they get help?
Well, first of all, if they go on our website, mankind.org.uk, there's our helpline, but also there's a list of services, so across the UK, which will help men. So please use that. Also, reach out to friends, family, work colleagues, anyone you can trust to try and just reach out to them, and keep in contact with them. And if you feel you trust them, obviously start to talk to them about what is actually going on in your relationship. And the point we always say, if you're in immediate danger, please do go to the police.
Yes, and very important, that danger aspect. People wait too long and they don't get the necessary help at the right time. And it's never too late to actually seek support. You might think I've gone too far down this road, but it's never too late to start off on a different path and actually ask for some help. There's no shame in that, is there?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the key message we always talk about is that there's thousands of men going through this right now, but also there's thousands of men either leaving or starting the journey to leave a bad relationship. So they can do it, so you can too. And that's why, our campaign slogan was hashtag men you're not alone, because that meant that men started again to think they're not the only guy in the world this is happening to, but also there's lots of help, support out there to get them out of that relationship.
Yeah, and just remind us again of your website where men can find the support and the resources.
It's mankind.org.uk.
Fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much. And to anyone who may think that they're a victim of domestic abuse, whether male, female, they, them, then please do reach out. Talk to someone that you trust, and don't let it get to the stage where you find yourself in immediate danger. But do contact the police if you do find that you're a victim. Mark, thank you so much for your time here this morning. It's Feel Good Friday here on Pure West Radio, where we have song requests, and I imagine that there's a song which you released on Tuesday that you'd quite like to hear.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So the song
Or
is
Wednesday.
called "You're Not Alone," and it was written and produced by one of our volunteers, Clive, who's a real supporter of ours, and a great musician too.
Thank you very much. Wednesday, I should get that right. It was November the 2nd is the National Day to be aware of, supporting male victims of domestic abuse day. But if you are a victim of any gender, then please do seek support. Thank you so much for your time here this morning. Clive, You're Not Alone plays for you here on Pure West Radio.